Hello, students. How are you all doing? I hope everybody is having a good day so far. It's really fantastic and wonderful to have all of you in today's session. A very warm welcome to all of you to an exciting class today. This is Pratibha. I'm your senior biology teacher. And yes, in today's discussion, we are going to deal with the concept of life processes. Okay, so I could see most of you are joining the session. Students, let's wait for a few more seconds for others to join and then we will be beginning with the session. Okay, so as I have told you, in today's discussion, we shall be understanding about the life processes and majorly we will be dealing with the nutrition topic. And if any one of you have any questions or any queries, or if you wanted to get to know more details about the concept, you can definitely feel free to reach out to us by using the comment section. So, yes, I hope this is clear for every one of you, and I want every one of you to please place a notebook and pen along by your side so that whenever we are discussing any important concept, you can definitely have a note of it. Yes, yes. So I could see most of the students joining the session. We shall wait only for few more seconds. So even I'm also excited for this first amazing session today. I hope you're also the same. That's great. That's great. So most of the students have joined. Without any delays, let's get quickly started with today's discussion. Okay. So as I've told you, today's discussion will be regarding the concept of life processes, and majorly we are focusing on the concept of nutrition. We all knew under the life processes concept, we have four more topics. What are they? The nutrition, the respiration, the transportation and excretion. So regarding all the parts, we shall be discussing one after the other. But as of now, we shall be only catering to nutrition. In the other upcoming classes, we shall be dealing with respiration, transportation and excretion concepts as well. Okay, so now tell me, what do you mean by the term life processes? So can you imagine, can you think of the term life processes? Think of it. You are going on the way to school. You see a lot of things happening around you, right? So you see the people moving. If there are any pet dogs or pet animals, they will be moving. They will be exhibiting a sign of movement. So by seeing them, we can say that the person is alive. But what if a person is sleeping? Can we still say the same? Can we still say the person is alive? The person is not showing any visible movement now. Can we say the person is alive? Yes, definitely. Because there are some internal movements which are happening, which are making the person to be alive. So, by this, what we can say? We can say not only the external visible movement, but there are some internal movements which are occurring within a living organism that makes it to be alive. Yes. So now let's understand about what are the characteristics that will be for living organism. So today's topic of discussion. What will be the topic of discussion? Let me tell you, it is the main topic of nutrition. We will be having an introduction to the life processes whereby we deal with the characteristics of living things, followed by what are life processes, and under the nutrition topic we shall be understanding regarding food and nutrients, and then later on the type of nutrient, the type of nutrition, and we shall be understanding about the photosynthesis concept. Yes, we shall also discuss about the process of nutrition with respect to animals. Majorly, we will be concentrating on the humans, the digestive system of humans, followed by a brief discussion about the tooth decay or the dental caries. Yes, that will be the end of the discussion. Okay, so let's get started with the life process introduction. So, life processes, what are they generally meaning? These are the activities that are carried out within the living organism that will be making a living organism to be alive. So, what will be the characteristics of living organisms? The things which define whether a particular thing is alive or not. So, what are they? First and foremost thing is self movement without any external force. They should move independently. Now, okay, this point says self movement. Do plants have any self movement? Can they move from one region to another region? No, but we can see some of the internal invisible movements like transportation pathways, the water conduction, the food conduction pathways, various metabolic activities are occurring within a plant, right? So, all the activities are getting carried out. We can say self movement also implies the internal movements over here. Apart from it, we can say nutrition. Nutrition is a procurement of the food and utilizing the food for producing the energy, and this energy is used for carrying out various growth and developmental activities. So the nutrition is the process of taking the food, air and water to get the energy for growth and various developmental activities. Then what else we have? We have the growth. Okay, so imagine you have a habit of planting seeds. You planted a small seed and the small seed germinates, baby plant arises. Baby plant, it will not be there as such, right? It will be growing. There is a growth of the baby plant into an adult plant. And imagine if you have gone for planting a seed, particularly a fruit seed, let's say a mango seed. Now, you will be so happy if the plant grows and gives you fruits now. Do you all agree with me? Definitely, that will be so joyful to see the fruitfulness of our hard work. Ha, yes. So, coming to the life process, it has the growth and development as one of the characteristic. What else responds to the stimuli? So the living organism, each and every living organism have this characteristic of showing a response towards changes in the environment. Particularly if it is a winter season, we feel so cold, and what we want to do immediately, we wear sweaters, we cover ourselves, right? So what we are doing over here, we are responding to stimulus around us. Similar manner, each and every living organism show some responses to various changes within their surroundings. So what else they will be having? Respiration. They perform respiration, and respiration involves the breakdown of the glucose and release of energy. Okay, breakdown of the nutrients for the release of energy is the respiration. This respiration is a product term which have the cellular respiration and the breathing concept in it. Okay, breathing nothing but with respect to humans, inhalation and exhalation. Yes. So now moving on, the elimination of the unwanted substances also should occur. That is nothing but the excretion. There should be removal of the waste substances from the body. And final one, for the continuity of the species, reproduction should be there. So these are the various characteristics a living organism is exhibiting. Now, if we could find what are life processes to be specific, so what we can tell about them? Life processes, they are nothing but the essential activities that a living organism is performing for the sustenance of life. So, what they include? They include the movement, growth, nutrition, respiration. What else it can include? Transportation. Can we say that? Yes, we can say transportation or circulation, which employs the movement of substances. We can also say excretion, the removal of the unwanted waste substances. So, reproduction, the response to the stimuli, all these will be the living organisms characteristics. These are the essential activities that a living organism is performing. Are you clear, everyone? Now, let's move on and let's deal with the concept of nutrition. Nutrition. What is the term nutrition represent? It is a procurement of the food and utilization of food to get energy, and this energy is being utilized for carrying out various growth and developmental activities. Yes, do you all agree? Definitely. Now we have a wide variety of the food items. So now I have a question for all of you. Do you think we need to depend upon the healthy foods for meeting our nutritional requirement, or can we eat anything that we wanted? Probably the junk food. It's not the scenario. We have to depend on a proper food, proper balanced diet. Okay, so junk food we can eat once in a while, but we have to not depend upon it all the time, right? So, food. What is food? The food is the substance that provides the energy and materials for carrying out various growth and developmental activities, and for repair of any damaged substance, for repair of any damaged tissues or the cells. So, what are nutrients? Nutrients are the substances which are being used for carrying out the growth and the developmental activities. So, here we have the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and vitamins as well as the minerals. So, as of now, are you clear with the concept? Yes. So just give me a movement. I just wanted to check if there are any questions. If any question, I shall pick a question out of it and I shall discuss it. Okay. Okay. Yes. So one of you have asked regarding macronutrients and micronutrients. Okay. So macronutrients are nothing but the ones which needed to be taken in larger quantities. The same thing we have over here. Okay. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, they come under the macronutrients which are being required under the large quantities, and the one which we require in a smaller quantities are the micronutrients. So this one will be the micronutrients which are required in the small quantities. Apart from this, the other components of food will be including the dietary fiber, nothing but the roughage, and it also includes the water. Okay. Now, moving on, let's now try to understand about the types of nutrition. So, in the types of nutrition, we have two categories. One is autotrophic nutrition, one is the heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, so under nutrition, we have two categories, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Under heterotrophic, again, we have four categories. So repeat with me. Under heterotrophic, how many categories do we have? We have four categories. What are they? Saprophytic, parasitic, holozoic, and symbiotic. Again, some of you might ask, ma'am, we have many kinds of heterotrophic nutrition. Why this classification? Of course, we have many. I definitely agree with that. But as of the standard that we are studying, this is enough for us. Okay, so let's discuss about this types of nutrition. Let's discuss about the first one, the autotrophic nutrition. So the word we can break into two words. Autos, it is being obtained from two words, autos and trophos. Autos means self and trophos means nourishment. So, what does this term represent? The autotrophic nutrition corresponds for the living organism having the ability to prepare its own food material. Example, can you tell the example? Green plants, algae. Yes, they are the autotrophic. Some bacteria will be photosynthetic bacteria. Some have the capacity to go for chemosynthesis as well. They are able to prepare their own food material. So, autotrophs, nothing but the self feeders, the organisms which are able to prepare their own food material are called as autotrophs. So, we have under the autotrophs two further things over here, the photosynthetic carrying out autotrophs and the chemosynthetic carrying out autotrophs. So, the photosynthesis is the process where the green plants are utilizing the sunlight with the help of simple inorganic substances, carbon dioxide and water. There is a conversion of this carbon dioxide and water into the complex substance glucose with the help of a green pigment, chlorophyll pigment, and yes, sunlight is playing a very essential role. On the other hand, we have the chemosynthesis where some bacteria use the chemical energy and they will be depending upon themselves for meeting their food requirement. Okay, so photosynthesis and the chemosynthesis, autotrophs. Now, what does the word heterotrophic nutrition depend give us? So the heterotrophic nutrition, it is given from two words, heteros and trophos. Okay, so what does the word heteros represent? Heteros means other, trophos means as usual nutrition or nourishment. So heterotrophs are the ones that depend upon others for meeting the food requirement. Can you give some examples? Humans, cats, dogs, all the ones are depending upon other for meeting the food requirements because we will not be able to have the capacity to prepare our own food. Now you can ask me, ma'am, we prepare our own food in the kitchens, no? Can't that be called as autotrophic? No, 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 we cannot call it as autotrophic. Autotrophic means we are preparing our own food within our biological system. Okay, that is what the plant is doing. But can we prepare as such? No, we are utilizing the raw ingredients. So we are going to get it from other living organisms and we are depending upon themselves for meeting our food requirement, right? Yes. So now coming to the heterotrophy, see, we have a lot number of heterotrophic organisms which are depending upon the other. And what they do, they eat the complex food. They break down the complex food into simple substances by the action of enzymes and they utilize the nutrients. So the heterotrophs are eating depending upon the complex food. Like what are they? The carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and they will be breaking the complex substances into the simple form so that now our body is utilizing them. And how this is done? By the action of enzymes. Okay, got the point, everyone? By the action of enzymes. Now, coming to the types of heterotrophic nutrition. Remember, nutrition of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Heterotrophic nutrition is again of four types. What are they? Saprophytic and holozoic, next parasitic, and then symbiotic. Okay, four types. So let's discuss about the saprophytic nutrition. The word sapro, what does it represent? It represents rotten. Sapro means rotten. So we can say the saprophytic nutrition is where the organisms are depending upon dead and decaying matter. For example, you might have seen the bread, if you have bought it and if you have not eaten it, if you have left it aside, after few days you will be able to see some small structures are arising on it, right? What are they? The bread mold. So what does the bread mold do? It releases the enzyme outside its body and the enzyme digests the food. After digestion of the food, there is an absorption of the simplified nutrients by the living organism. Okay, saprophytic is where the living organism is feeding upon the dead and the decaying matter, and they are digesting the food outside their body. For example, we have the bread mold, yeast, and mushroom. Mushroom is also an example of the saprophytic nutrition. Now, coming to the parasitic mode of nutrition. This parasitic mode of nutrition is bit dangerous. Why, I will tell you. Here, we can take two organisms, organism A and organism B. Okay, so this organism A is either living on the host or inside the host, and it is taking all the essential nutrients from the organism B. As a result, this grows, but what about this? No growth, nothing, it is getting harmed. Okay, so we can say one partner is getting harmed, one partner is getting benefited. This is about the parasitic nutrition, where the organism is living either on or inside the another organism. It takes the nutrients from the host. Often what happens over here, the host is getting deprived of all the essential nutrients because already the parasite is taking, and eventually there is a death of the host plant as well. We have the cuscuta, the yellow threads over here is a cuscuta, which is depending upon the host plant. We have the tapeworms, lice, leeches. All these are the parasites, parasitic mode of nutrition they follow. Okay, now moving on the holozoic nutrition. In the holozoic nutrition, what does the living organism do means it takes the whole food, it digests the food, like example of humans, dogs, frogs, amoeba. All these will be under the category of holozoic. So there are certain steps which it follows, like ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and then egestion. Okay, so these are the 5 steps. As of now, just remember these 5 steps. About these 5 steps, we will be discussing elaborately in the nutrition with respect to animals. Okay, today only we shall be discussing that. Now, if you could see holozoic nutrition with respect to amoeba, what does this amoeba do? It extends its false finger like projections called as pseudopodia, and it will be grabbing the food particle, digest the food particle inside the food vacuole, and there is an egestion of unwanted substances. So, the human beings also, we take the food as a whole. Complex substances get broken down into simple substances. Now, the simple substances are absorbed by the cells and they are getting utilized by the cells. So, now coming to the symbiotic nutrition. Symbiotic nutrition is very nice. Why? Because here there will be two organisms. Let's take two organisms, organism A and B. Okay. So, the two organisms are living together. Very nice. And at least one benefits in them. Sometimes both of them get benefited, but at least one gets benefited, the other does not get harmed. Okay, it's like neutral, but most of the scenarios, both the organisms get benefited. For example, we have lichen, which is a combination of algae and fungus. We have rhizobium, which lives in the leguminous plant's roots. The bacteria gets shelter from the plant, and the plant is going to get the benefit of nitrogen fixation. So let's see this combination of symbiotic nutrition, the combination of lichen and rhizobium. So lichen is a combination of algae and fungus. Algae, since it is having the chlorophyll pigment, it will be able to perform photosynthesis. Okay, and the algae requires some raw materials, and the fungus is the one that gives the shelter and the raw materials for the algae. The algae prepares the food. The food is being shared between the two. So this is a very good combination. On the other hand, we have the root nodules of leguminous plants, inside which there is rhizobium bacterium. The rhizobium bacterium gets shelter from the plant. It gives the nitrogen fixation. It will be responsible for fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, in this way, both the partners are getting mutually benefited. So, students, now let's try to understand regarding the type of nutrition. Once again, in a tabular form, the saprophytic is where the organism is feeding on dead and decaying matter like the mushroom and the yeast. Parasitic, where the parasite lives on the living host. Example, the tapeworm and the cuscuta. We have the holozoic, where the organism takes up the food as a whole. Example, humans, frogs, dogs, amoeba, anything we can take. And symbiotic is mutual partnership, the rhizobium and the lichen combination that we discussed just now. Okay, now, so far we are understood about the heterotrophic nutrition, the types of heterotrophic nutrition. Let's move on and let's understand about photosynthesis. But before we move on to the topic of photosynthesis, give me just a minute. I'll have some water and I'll be back, okay? So thank you so much, students. You have allowed me the time for having some water. Thank you. Now let's move back and let's understand regarding the concept of photosynthesis. So we knew that this concept is of autotrophic nutrition. The green plants are able to perform the photosynthesis for manufacturing their own food. So let's have an elaborated discussion of what exactly the term photosynthesis represent. So the term photosynthesis is coming from two words, photos and synthesize. So photo means light and synthesis means putting together. So what we are putting together? Now this is a question like utilizing light, we are putting some inorganic substances together like carbon dioxide and water, and there is a production of glucose. This is what we are trying to deal with over here. Now, if we could find over here the word coming from two words as we have known, photo and light. The photo means light and synthesis means putting together. So photosynthesis means using light, we are preparing or making something. Okay, so now what is photosynthesis? What is photosynthesis means? It is the process by which the green plants are making food, that is glucose. Of course, the glucose gets finally converted into the starch form and gets stored in the form of the starch. So by utilizing the simple inorganic substances, carbon dioxide and water with the help of a pigment, chlorophyll pigment, In the presence of sunlight, there is a production of the food by the plant. Now, what the green plant is doing, it is taking up the sunlight. Okay, it is capturing the light energy, and in the process, water and carbon dioxide, which are the simple inorganic substances, entering into the plant, water absorption from the roots, and carbon dioxide entry through the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaf, nothing but the stomatal pores. So, through the stomatal pore, there is a carbon dioxide entry. Now, our green plant is happily manufacturing food. The food, which is a simple carbohydrate, glucose, eventually gets converted into the complex ones, the starch, and gets stored in the form of the starch. So, what else can you see in the picture? We can see chlorophyll is being utilized. Yes, without chlorophyll, this is not possible. Chlorophyll is the one that captures the light energy. And we can also see oxygen. In this process, oxygen is being liberated as a byproduct. Okay? Now, if we could find the photosynthesis equation. So, this is a process where the carbon dioxide, water in presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll pigment are getting converted into glucose. And yes, oxygen is also a byproduct. That is the reason, we are always told to plant more number of trees. Why? Why? Because they are the producers of oxygen, and every living organism requires oxygen. Now recall how many saplings or how many seedlings, or you can say how many seeds you have planted so far. You can just recall, you can just count it. If anyone of you have not done it yet so far, I suggest you to please do it. Okay? Ha. Now we have understood, got the point of photosynthesis equation. Let's move how the glucose is helping the plant. So we knew the first product is the glucose. It is getting converted into the starch later, but glucose is a simple carbohydrate. Why the plant is using glucose? To get energy. So the energy is being used for carrying out various growth and developmental activities and for repair of the tissues. If any damage, anything is there, for repairing the tissues, this is being utilized. Now, the plants also use glucose for building other food materials like what? Like proteins, fats, and cellulose. Okay, got it, everyone? Now, the plants are converting the extra glucose into starch. As I have told you, there is a conversion of extra glucose into starch, and where it is being stored, sometimes in the leaf, sometimes in the roots like carrots, beetroots, sometimes in the stems like sugarcane. Wow, sugarcane, it's really very tasty to feel the sugarcane juice, right? It's really very tasty. I generally prefer ginger and lemon also in the sugarcane juice. Most of you might prefer, might not prefer, but it will be really very good. Try it once if you have not tried it yet. Now, the fruits, the extra glucose also gets stored in the form of the starch in the fruits like the bananas, the unripe bananas. Moving on, what will be the raw materials for photosynthesis? So, what are the raw materials? It requires simple inorganic substances, water, and carbon dioxide. These are the main raw materials. Apart from that, chlorophyll pigment already present within the plant and sunlight, the light energy. Okay. Now, half the plants are getting water. Raw material we have discussed, but half the plants are getting water. We knew the roots are absorbing the water. So the roots are playing a very important role in the absorption of water from the soil. So the water is moving up through where? Through the stem up to the region of the leaf. And along with water, not only water, there are some mineral substances which are also being required by the plant. So, what are they? They might be nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium. Out of all these, nitrogen is very, very important. Why? Because there is a manufacturing of proteins and various other substances with this, okay, the nitrogen. And plants generally, what they do, since they require water and nitrogenous substances, the minerals in them, okay, so they utilize the water absorption mechanism, and in the same manner they will be absorbing the nitrogen either as inorganic nitrates or nitrites. From where? From the soil itself. Okay, sometimes imagine, remember the root nodules of the leguminous plants, they have the rhizobium bacteria which helps in nitrogen fixation. So sometimes the plants are getting in the form of nitrogenous compounds made by bacteria. What they are doing, the bacteria is converting the atmospheric nitrogen into the usable forms. Okay, got it everyone? Now, coming to how the plants get carbon dioxide. Plants, how they get water? From the absorption by the roots. How they get the carbon dioxide? The stomata, which are the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaf. There are certain modified epidermal cells present in the leaf, which will be looking like this, the kidney shape or the bean shaped. Okay, so these will be called as the guard cells. Okay, they will be present very close to each other. I just draw it as such, but they are very close. I'll show you the picture. So they will be like this, very close to each other, the guard cells. So each stomatal pore is getting surrounded by the two guard cells. When the guard cells are having the nature of getting swelled by the entry of the water, there is an opening of the stomatal pore. When that does not happen, there is a closing of the stomatal pore. Let me reiterate this point once again. When guard cells are absorbing the water, here is where the guard cells are absorbing the water, they become turgid. Because of this turgidness, they are curving inwards. They swell and the curve in outward, and because of which the stomata will be opening. And on the other hand, when the guard cells are losing water, what happens when they are losing water? The guard cells now become flaccid, because of which they collapse inward and the stomata close. So when stomata is open, carbon dioxide entry. When stomata is closed, carbon dioxide entry will be there? No, it will not be there. Now the carbon dioxide moves to the stomatal pore, and majorly this will be following the diffusion process. What is diffusion? The movement of substances from a region of a higher concentration to a region of a lower concentration. Okay, when you in the surrounding atmosphere, there is a higher carbon dioxide concentration when compared with that of the inside of the plant. So because of this variation from high to low regions, there is movement of carbon dioxide, and it occurs with the help of the stomatal pore. Yes. So now moving on to the site for photosynthesis. Where this photosynthesis exactly takes place is a chloroplast, and these chloroplasts contain a green pigment, chlorophyll pigment, which is responsible for absorption of the light energy. So let's check the steps in photosynthesis. The steps in photosynthesis, it will be occurring in three major steps. Remember, how many steps? Three major steps. What are they? Let's understand about this. Okay, before that, let me check the chat and let's see if any question. Okay, so one have asked, how can we define photosynthesis? The same thing we discussed just now, right? So photosynthesis is the process where the green plants is taking up the simple inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll pigment. There is a synthesis of glucose. Okay, this is how we can describe photosynthesis to be. Now let's move on. Let's see regarding the steps in photosynthesis. So first there is an absorption of sunlight. The chlorophyll, the green pigment, will be responsible for capturing the photons. Okay, particularly photons are the small packets of light energy. They will be capturing of light energy. So what happens after this? The light energy being converted into chemical energy. So the conversion of light energy into chemical energy, because of this, there is a splitting of the water molecule. This is called as photolysis, the splitting of water molecule into the hydrogen and oxygen. Now, in the third step, remember in the first step, there is an absorption of the light energy by the chlorophyll and the activated chlorophyll. Now, what happens? The conversion of the light energy into the chemical energy occurs. How? There is a breakdown of the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Now, the carbon dioxide is getting reduced to carbohydrate, nothing but the glucose. But how does this happen? The hydrogen combines with the carbon dioxide for the production of glucose from the water. Previously, we have seen the photolysis, the splitting of the water molecule, right? So, the hydrogen combines with the carbon dioxide and produces the glucose. Now, do you think photosynthesis really happens in only these three steps? How many of you think it is very simple, very easy? And we have mentioned photosynthesis in a single equation. Do you think it is that easy? No, 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 no. It's not definitely that easy. Photosynthesis is not just the three steps that we have understood now. It is involving a lot number of multiple chemical reactions. But as per our standard, as per our understanding, we are only taking up with few steps. That's it. It is not so simple. It's not like, since it is mentioned in three steps, it is only three steps. No, no, no. It is involving a lot of steps. Okay. Now, moving on, the mechanism of photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, what is happening? Within the chloroplast, several events are occurring. What are they? First, absorption of light energy is there. The conversion of light energy into chemical energy is happening. Then there is a splitting of the water molecule. The water molecule's hydrogen is now combining with carbon dioxide. The reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. This is happening. This is the overall mechanism of photosynthesis. Okay, so now I have a question for you. Sometimes we could see there will be some leaves which are very colorful, which are bright, which are not green color. We are studying the ones which are having the chlorophyll pigment will perform photosynthesis. But what about the ones which do not have the green color appearance? Let's take croton. Okay, so we can see that they are of different colors. Some will be very bright purple colors will also be there, right? So do you think they will perform photosynthesis? Do they have chlorophyll pigment? Can you agree with the term that since they look purple or some other color, can they have the chlorophyll pigment? Yes, they have definitely. Even though their external appearance is being masked by domination of other pigments, the chlorophyll pigment will be there in them, but minute quantities. But still, it perform photosynthesis. Okay, but how can we get to know that these leaves are also performing photosynthesis? This will be your question. Now, no further answer of that question. Only we have this experiment, the variegated leaf experiment. Okay, variegated leaf is nothing but the leaf which does not only have the other colors but also it have the green color chlorophyll pigment. Okay, it is having a combination of many. Let's take one experimental setup over here. We have to take a potted plant of a variegated leaf containing plant. Let's take a croton only, and we are placing it in the dark conditions for 3 days. So why we are placing it as such? Because there is a destarching of the plant. Now we are plucking one leaf from the plant. Okay, and now we are performing starch test. Initially, we need to boil the leaf in the water. Boiling the leaf in the water stops all the activities within the plant. Then next, we need to boil in alcohol. By boiling in alcohol, other unnecessary pigments all will be getting eliminated. Okay. Now, we are now placing the leaf in a cold water. Why we are placing the leaf in cold water means we will be seeing that the leaf, when it is getting boiled with alcohol, the leaf become brittle. It's like easily breakable. When we are going for performance for starch test, it might be difficult, right? So that's the reason we are again, after the alcohol step, we are again rinsing it with cold water so that it does not become brittle, it will be remaining soft. Now we are performing the starch test. What we are doing over here, we are going with the addition of iodine solution. Okay, so when we are adding iodine, which is generally brown color, there is a change in the color to bluish black, which indicates the presence of the starch. Okay, so now what we have done over here, we have taken the leaf, we did all the previous steps, and we are adding iodine. If you could see, the green parts of the leaf are turning bluish black. Okay, why? They are giving a positive test for iodine, positive test for starch, indicating that they also have performed photosynthesis. Okay, so this is our concept. Now, there is one more experiment which is giving us an idea to prove carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. How we can know this? Okay, we are going to take two potted plants approximately of the same size, same height, and we are placing potassium hydroxide pellets, a small jar in we are placing potassium hydroxide pellets. Let's take a watch glass. Okay, inside the watch glass we are placing potassium hydroxide. And what does this do? It will be absorbing the carbon dioxide. We are placing jars, and if possible we are closing it with Vaseline at the base. Okay, so we are allowing it for a while, and after few hours, if we are performing the starch test, we can say that the plant B gives a positive result for the starch test, but plant A does not give. Why? Because the potassium hydroxide have absorbed all the carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is no longer available for performing photosynthesis, because of which there is no photosynthesis. Important point to remember: before you're performing this experiment, you need to definitely destarch the plants. You have to place the plants in dark conditions. Okay, and then you need to perform the experiment. I hope you got the point, everyone. By this, we are proving the carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. So, students, so far we have been discussing regarding the concept of life process. We dealt with the understanding of nutrition, the types of nutrition, the concept of photosynthesis, the experiments which are associated with photosynthesis. Now, before we move on, okay, it's really a longer time. Before we move on for the discussion of further concepts, let's take a short break of 10 minutes. Okay, stay tuned. Back from the break again. So, are you all energetic? Excited? Shall we continue? Yes, yes, yes. Many of you. Good, good, great responses. Now, after the break, let's continue with the topic of the discussion. Okay, particularly now we shall be discussing regarding the process of nutrition with respect to animals. So these steps are very, very important. The process of nutrition with respect to animals. We have seen in the types of autotrophic nutrition in the first part, we have seen the heterotrophic nutrition as well. We have got to understand four parts of it. The holozoic nutrition over there. There I have given these five steps. I told you that I will elaborate it later in today's class. Na? So here comes the elaborative explanation of all the five steps. Okay, so the ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and digestion. These are the five steps, the process of nutrition with respect to animals. We shall explore regarding these steps one after the other. Let's get started with the ingestion. Ingestion, nothing but entry of the food. We are taking various kinds of food items, many food items, veg lovers, non-veg lovers. Many of you like the food items, right? But I always tell and suggest you to please be dependent upon the balanced food. Not all the time. Please do not eat junk food. Okay. So, how we are taking the food through the mouth or the oral or the buccal cavity. The first step being the process of ingestion. After that, the food gets broken down. So, with respect to the human digestive system, what we can see here, we can see the presence of the various digestive parts. I shall explain about these digestive parts also. The digestive system helps in the breakdown of the food. The complex substances are getting broken down into the simple substances. Okay, so within the human digestive system, there is an alimentary canal starting with mouth, ending with anus. So, in between, what parts will be there? Mouth, the buccal cavity consists of teeth, tongue, and salivary gland. Later on, pharynx. Pharynx is a common passageway for both food as well as the air. Then esophagus, nothing but the food pipe. Then it enters into the stomach. From stomach to the region of the small intestine. From there to large intestine. Okay. So large intestine, the last parts will be rectum. It ends with anus. Apart from this, we have various accessory glands like pancreas and salivary glands, liver, gallbladder. All these considered as important glands, the accessory glands. So this is only with respect to the human digestive system. I am telling these parts, but the digestion process is where there is a breakdown of the complex substances into the simple substances. So digestion is going to happen in two ways. One is mechanical digestion, one is the chemical digestion. So the mechanical digestion, we are taking the food, we are chewing it, we are grinding it. That is the mechanical digestion. Chemical digestion is by the action of the enzymes. Enzymes are breaking the food into simple substances, the simple molecules. So after digestion, what will be the step? We have the absorption. Absorption, nothing but taking the food into the blood and utilization of this. We have it to be called as the process of assimilation. So in assimilation, once the food is reaching the blood, it is getting distributed to each and every part of the body. Each and every cell takes up the food, takes up the nutrients and utilizes these nutrients for energy production, for repairing any kind of damaged tissues, or it also takes the energy for carrying out various growth and developmental activities, sometimes even for the production of the new cells. So, not only these things, there will be unwanted substances being produced because of various metabolic activities within a living organism that should get eliminated out. But now the question, how this is getting eliminated? The final process is the digestion, where there is a exit of undigested food material. the substances which remain undigested will be getting eliminated as a solid waste, the fecal matter. So overall, the 5 steps regarding the process of nutrition in animals. Let's deal with a few examples now. Let's take the nutrition in simple organisms, amoeba and paramecia. This is amoeba, that is paramecia. So now let's see regarding amoeba. We have 5 steps now: ingestion, then digestion, absorption, assimilation, and digestion. We shall now understand this. So the amoeba, it have seen a food particle, a very nice food particle. It should move towards the food particle. Now what it does, it extends its false feet-like projections, which are called as pseudopodia. So it is going to extend the pseudopodia, and by extending, it grabs the food particle, it creates a food vacuole. A food vacuole is being created by the extension of the pseudopodia. Then what happens inside the food vacuole? There is the digestion. So the process of digestion is occurring. In digestion, what happens? The complex substances should be getting broken down into simple substances. The same thing happens over here. By the action of certain enzymes, there is a breakdown of the complex nature substances into simple substances. Now what happens? The absorption process. So the digested food is directly getting mixed with the cytoplasm of amoeba. This is what we can see in the absorption process. Now it should be utilized. What should be the step? Assimilation. The absorbed food is now getting utilized by amoeba for creating energy. The energy utilized for carrying out various activities, like it might be growth and developmental activities, for moving towards its prey, or for moving away from the enemies, all these things. Okay, now final step will be the digestion, where the unwanted substances are also getting produced, and the unwanted substances will be getting eliminated or adjusted out. Okay, so this is what happens in amoeba, the nutrition with respect to amoeba. Then what about paramecia? Let me tell you. Paramecia, it is having a tiny hair-like structures on it. Amoeba, it is having the capacity to extend the false finger-like projections, false feet pseudopodia, it extends. But what about paramecia? The feeding is with the help of cilia, it is moving towards the prey, towards the food. So it is having a tiny tiny multi things will be there, hair-like structures, very thousands, multiple hair-like structures will be there, and they are called as cilia. So the paramecium, it is a slipper-shaped, tiny unicellular organism, right? It is a water-dwelling one. It is having thousands of short hair-like structures called as cilia. So the cilia are beating continuously so that the paramecia is moving towards the food. So we can see the cilia beat continuously and help for the movement of paramecia towards the food, and there is a mouth-like area in the paramecia. The cilia will be helping the movement of the food, pushing of the food into region. So all the other steps will be there. This is only the ingestion part. The all steps, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and digestion, are very similar as that of amoeba. Okay, so now, amoeba is done, paramecia is done. Let's move on. Digestive system in humans. So the digestive system in humans, it is a very complex. It is not simple as case of unicellular one. In amoeba paramecia, the single cell itself is performing all the steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, digestion, all the 5 steps. But with respect to the humans, there is a complex digestive system being made of several organs, and majorly they form a long tract, a long canal called as a alimentary canal. So let me tell you what are the main organs that will be a part of the alimentary canal. Mouth, Esophagus, nothing but the food pipe. Stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Do remember, large intestine ends with rectum and anus. Apart from this, there are also several important glands or accessory glands like salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, and the pancreas. Okay, all this along with the gastrointestinal tract, nothing but the alimentary canal, they play a very important role in the digestion process. So what these accessory glands do, they release some digestive enzymes or the juices that helps in the process of digestion. Okay, let's start with the digestive system. The digestion in humans, the digestive system, it starts with mouth, right? The oral cavity, or we can say the mouth. So first there is an ingestion process. In the ingestion, there is an entry of the food. After entry of the food in the mouth, what we are doing, we are trying to bite, chew, grind the food in the buccal cavity. So what are the parts that mouth consists of? The mouth consists of teeth, tongue, and salivary gland. Mouth is also called as oral cavity or buccal cavity. And what it comprises of? Teeth, tongue, and salivary glands. Okay, so moving with, what are teeth? We already knew. Fixed to the jaws, there are some hard white teeth, the structures which will be helping us for cutting, tearing, crushing, grinding the food. So they help in mechanical digestion. We can say they play a very important role in mechanical digestion. Okay, what are the different types of teeth? Incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Incisors for cutting, canines for tearing, premolars for grinding, molars for more grinding, for more crushing. We have molars. When we are eating, imagine you have a nice apple fruit with you. You love fruits, you have an apple with you, and you are eating. First, what you are doing, you are cutting with your incisors and you are tearing with your canines. You are grinding, crushing, chewing with the help of premolars and molars. So when you are doing this, don't you think your tongue is helping you? The tongue helps in mixing the food with the saliva. Okay, so we have the tongue, which is a soft muscular organ which helps in mixing the food with the saliva. Now we can see after this mixing, there is a formation of a soft mass of the solid mass of the food called as bolus, and we are swallowing it. Of course, we are able to identify different tastes with the help of taste buds present on our tongue. We have various taste buds like sweet, sour, salty, bitter taste, umami taste, all the taste will be there. Na? We are having that taste buds which are giving the taste. Okay, now coming to the salivary glands. In our buccal cavity, there are three pairs of salivary glands which release the saliva. So, what does the saliva do? They will be responsible for moistening the food and they begins the digestion of the starch. Now you might have a question. How do they begin the digestion of the starch? How means there is an enzyme called as salivary amylase in the saliva. What it does? It converts the complex starch into the simple carbohydrate glucose. Okay, imagine when you are eating rice, when you are chewing it. Initially, when you chew it, you don't feel anything. But when gradually you go on chewing, you feel the richness of the sweet taste of the rice now. How could you do that? How you felt it? Why? Because initially rice have starch. Okay, the salivary amylase is acting on it. It is converting the complex carbohydrate starch into the simple ones, the glucose. That is the reason you could feel the sensation of the sweetness of the glucose in your mouth. That's the fact why our elders will tell to chew the food before swallowing it. It's not like hurry burriedly we eat the food and it gets digested. No, no, no. Undigestion problem happens. Indigestion problem happens. Okay. Yes, you need to shift the food properly because there is an action of salivary amylase over there. Okay. Now, food from the mouth, it should reach to the other part. What is the other part? It is the pharynx. It is a short passage which is connecting the mouth to the food pipe. Remember, it is a common passageway for both food as well as the air. Food is directed towards the food pipe, air is directed towards the windpipe, the trachea. So what it helps in? It helps in guiding the food to reach the region of the esophagus. To reach the region of the esophagus, it will be definitely very helpful. Okay. And now the esophagus. Esophagus is a long muscular tube. What it is doing? It is pushing the food to the stomach and it is using wave-like motions called as peristalsis. So there are some wave-like motions. And how does this look? The peristalsis being taking place from esophagus up to the region of the large intestine. It will be responsible for contractions and relaxations, the wave-like motions for pushing the food to the intestinal regions for further digestion. Got it, everyone? So where does the food move now? From mouth to pharynx to esophagus. Then what should be the entry of the food, where it should enter? Now the food should reach to which region? Tell me. To the region of the stomach. So what is happening within the stomach? The digestion process is happening. So in the step 2, inside the body, there is a breakdown of the complex substances into the simple substances. That is nothing but the digestion. Now we shall discuss regarding the digestion. We have the stomach with respect to the human beings. Okay, so the stomach is characterized by the presence of special gastric glands and it is producing the important substances like hydrochloric acid, protein digesting enzyme. Protein digesting enzyme called as peptin breaks the complex proteins into simple ones and there is a mucus. Okay, so this will be playing a very important role. First, hydrochloric acid creates an acidic environment and it is also killing if any microorganism is entering along with our food, the HCl is also killing it. Okay, now it maintains an acidic environment for the protein digesting enzyme pepsin to act. But you may get a question, this is an acid, no? Doesn't it corrode the stomach walls? Of course. It have the capacity but it will not because the stomach inner walls are protected by mucus. Okay, if you could find the hydrochloric acid is making the stomach acidic, killing many harmful germs that are entering the body along with the food. So mucus which is being formed by the gastric glands coating the inner surface of the stomach and it is protecting our stomach wall from the damage of the strong acid. What is that acid? HCl, the hydrochloric acid. Okay, got it everyone? Yes. Give me a movement. Let me check if any questions. Okay, a question says why the mouth is being considered to be the first site of both mechanical and chemical digestion. Why? I discussed the mechanical digestion because there is a biting of the food, crushing, grinding, chewing of the food that comes under mechanical. Chemical, how salivary amylase from the saliva acts and converts the complex substance, complex starch into simple glucose. Okay. I hope you got the answer. Now, moving on. What does the stomach do? Stomach is responsible for turning the food into a semi-liquid mass, particularly the ones which is partially digested, because already pepsin enzyme is acting over there, na? And this is called as a chyme. Now, where does the food enter from the stomach? Into the small intestine. In the small intestine being considered to be the longest part of the GI tract. But because majority of the digestion, majority of the absorption will be occurring within the region of the small intestine. It is having three parts. What are they? Duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So what does the duodenum do? It receives the digestive juices from where? From the liver and the pancreas. And remember one thing, bile juice being secreted by the liver, but it will be stored in the gallbladder. Okay, do remember this point. So majority of the digestion will be occurring within the duodenum. Then we have the jejunum, which absorbs the digested nutrients. Then there is ileum. It continues absorption and pushes the remaining food forward to the region of home, to the region of the large intestine. Okay, as of now we are clear with this, right? Let me take a small 1 minute time for having some water. Thank you. Thank you so much, students. Yes, now we shall continue. Now, coming to the intestine. The small intestine, the length of it is not same in all the animals because it is being dependent upon the type of the food they are eating. In case of the grass eating animals, the length is more. Why? Because they need the time to digest the cellulose. Okay, that's the reason. So plant eaters like cows and goats, they are characterized by having a longer small intestine because they contain the food, contain the cellulose, and this is very time taking process. It takes a lot of time for digestion. Now we have on the other hand meat eaters like lions and tigers. They are having a shorter small intestine because we know the meat is very simple, it is easily broken down. That is the reason. So the digestive system, the intestinal region, the small intestinal region mainly is longer. It is longer in humans, but major the longness, the length will be seen with respect to the herbivores. So now in the small intestinal region, we could see the food that is being received from the stomach, it is now acidic. Now there is an enzyme from the pancreas that will be working only within the alkaline environment. Inside the small intestine, now the alkaline environment should get established. Who is helping with this? Let me tell you, here the liver will be secreting an enzyme called as a juice called as bile juice. The bile juice will be secreted or produced by the liver but stored in the gallbladder. So it is making the food alkaline. How it is helping in the making of the alkalinity, it increases the alkalinity and it helps in the digestion of fats by causing an emulsification. So how? Fats are generally entering as large droplets. What does the bile do? The bile salts are breaking the large droplets into the smaller ones, so that initially when they are large, enzyme cannot act on them. But once enough they are being smaller, the enzyme can act on the smaller droplets, the digestion of fats into fatty acid and cholesterol. Okay, now, coming to the enzymes, the digestive enzymes. Let me be specific about the digestive enzymes. These are playing a very essential role for digesting the complex substances into simple substances. Complex carbohydrate into simple carbohydrate, complex protein into amino acids, complex fats into fatty acids and cholesterol. So, if you could find salivary amylase. We discussed this, right? It is also called as ptyalin, secreted by the salivary glands into the buccal cavity. The digestive juices being the saliva acting on the carbohydrate. Next, what we have? Pepsin, secreted by gastric glands of stomach. Gastric juice is the juice, acts on the proteins. Bile is not having any enzymes but being secreted by the liver into the duodenum, and digestive juices bile juice act on the fats, causes the emulsification of the fats. So amylase, trypsin and lipase being secreted by the pancreas into the region of the duodenum, they are called as pancreatic juices. They convert the complex substances into simple substances like carbohydrate, protein and fat into the simpler forms. Okay, now coming to the absorption. The absorption, which is the third step, occurs within the small intestinal region. Now what is happening? The food is entering the blood. The inner wall of the small intestine is having many tiny finger like shape projections, which are called as villi or microvilli. So what does this villi do? They increase the surface area for the absorption. Now, after this, the food have been absorbed. The absorbed food have been reaching to each and every part of the body. The body is now utilizing it for carrying out various activities. This comes under the assimilation. So, half the body is utilizing the food, the nutrients present within the blood, getting carried to different parts of the body. Cells are utilizing these nutrients for production of energy, and the energy used for various growth and developmental activities, for repair of body parts and for storing of excess food. So all these activities will be happening. Got it? This is the step for the assimilation. Okay. Okay, one question is, why it's like the small intestine being considered to be the main site for food absorption, particularly the digested food. Why? Because previously, just now we have seen a villi are increasing the surface area for the absorption. Villi are nothing but the small, tiny finger-like projections in the inner walls of the small intestine, tending to increase the surface area for the absorption. That is the reason the small intestine is the main site for the absorption. This privilege is not being present in anything, in anywhere, not even in the large intestine. The majority of the digestion completes within the small intestine region only, the absorption also. Not in the large intestine. Large intestine does not play any role in the digestion process. Okay? Few salts are only absorbed and water is absorbed from the large intestine. That's it. So coming to the final step, that is the concept of the egestion, which involves getting rid of what we don't need or unwanted substances. Okay. So coming to the large intestine will be including the parts, the cecum, colon and rectum. What does the large intestine do? It absorbs the water and minerals from the undigested food, but not the nutrients. Nutrient absorption will be occurring within the small intestine only. Point to remember. Okay, so now what happens? The leftover food material is being converted into a semi solid waste. and this semi-solid waste gets temporarily stored in rectum. It will be eliminated through the anus. So this large intestine, it is also helping us in having the vitamin K synthesis because it is hosting helpful bacteria. Got it, everyone? Yeah, finally we are understanding about the intestinal region. We understood about the digestion process, everything. Now, let's play a glance. Let's see a glance on the tooth decay. Okay, before that, let me check if any question as well. Okay, a question says enzymes are being called as biological catalysts. No? Why? What is the function of enzymes? They convert the substances. They themselves don't get converted, but they speed up the reactions. They convert, they help in the conversion of the substances, the complex ones into simple ones. Na? So, for the chemical reactivities to occur, they speed up the reactions. So, enzymes, why they are being called as biocatalysts? Generally, catalyst will be speeding up the reactions. Biocatalysts, nothing but the enzymes, since they are being present within the living systems, they increase the digestion process. They help in converting the complex ones to the simple ones. They speed up the reactions. That's the reason. Okay, so now coming to the tooth decay or the dental caries. Tooth decay is also getting called as a dental carie when it is getting developed. It is slowly getting developed, not in once a while. Like, no, we can say not all of a sudden it appears. It slowly starts. How? When the hard layers of tooth, the enamel and the dentin, when they are weakening, if we are not brushing our teeth properly, the bacteria in the mouth, what they do, they break down the sugary food and there is a acid release. So acid, what it does, it gradually causes a wearing of the enamel. Now what happens? One more thing, even the bacteria does not leave as such. The bacteria and the food particles, they are sticking together to whom? To the teeth surface, and this is being called as a dental plague. Now what this plague is doing? It is acting like a shield. Generally, our saliva will be having the capacity to neutralize the acids. Okay, but the plaque itself is acting like a shield. Now the saliva cannot do its action properly. It cannot wash away the acids or neutralize. And because the saliva is not even acting, it's like a chance for this plaque to grow more. So regular brushing, definitely it helps us to remove the plaque and the bacteria. We cannot give the place for the bacteria for the production of too much acid. Okay, regular brushing will be helpful for that. If we are not doing, definitely tooth decay is happening. So tooth decay, if it is not getting treated, bacteria even they can reach the pulp. So be careful. They can even reach the pulp, the soft inner part of the teeth, and particularly this soft inner part contains nerves and blood vessels. If the bacteria are reaching there, it will be like more more damage to your teeth itself. Okay, so because of the tooth decay, pain, swelling, infections, many of the things might also occur if not treated properly. So please be careful. Please regularly brush your teeth kindly. So now students, so far what we are into the discussion of, we are understanding about the concept of nutrition. We started with the introduction of life processes. We understood regarding the concept of nutrition. So in today's discussion, we understood regarding the characteristics of living things. We understood what will be the life process, nutrition, transportation, excretion, respiration. All these are the life process. Apart from this, self movement, control and coordination, and response to the stimuli. All these are there, right? So we later on understood regarding the food and nutrients, the type of nutrition, specifically autotrophic and heterotrophic. Under heterotrophic, four categories we have known: saprotrophic, symbiotic, holozoic, and parasitic. So photosynthesis, the steps in photosynthesis, like absorption of light energy, what is happening after that, conversion of light energy into chemical energy, then there is the reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. All this we have seen. So in animals, the process of nutrition, five steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and digestion. These are the five steps. Finally, the 2 3K, how it is happening. Okay, so this will be the end of today's discussion, students. I hope the concept is clear for you. Keep learning the topics. If you are having any questions or any queries, or you want to discuss few more things, you can definitely feel free to contact us by commenting, by utilizing the chat box, okay, in the chat section or the comment box. And please do let us know if you would like to have more details. Okay, with this, students, thank you so much. It's such a great privilege to teach all of you this concept of nutrition. And let's meet up in the further upcoming classes. Thank you and have a great evening.